Hey guys, so today I'm going to be working on the FRS. So I recently ran into a K-barrier. I broke a bunch of the front end stuff. I also ended up breaking my control arm. So instead of refabricating a control arm, I decided that it's about time that I get an actual angle kit. So that's what I'm going to be starting today. I don't have a lot of room out here, so I have to keep the car on the trailer when I work on it. So it's a little bit sketchy, but it's not too bad. I'm just gonna kind of let it sit on blocks on the trailer. It should be fine. I guess I'll kind of start looking at the angle kit, show everything it comes with. These knuckles are completely custom. They're not cut and welded or anything. They're actually cast by Part Shop Max. So these are what I'll be using for that. In this box here, we have the control arms and a couple other things. So this is what the control arms look like. So these will be going on. Also have tie rods. So these are the new inner tie rods. Then there's the outer tie rods. That's what connects to the knuckle. Got some spacers for the lower control arms. There is a couple of gussets for the subframe. These need to be welded in. I'm not 100% sure if I will be doing that though. And then we have these rack offset spacers. These go into the steering rack so that the tie rods can be at a different angle. First thing I'm gonna do here is just get the car in the air, throw a 6x6 underneath here so that the car has something to sit on. I do have jack stands, but I'm not sure how I feel about using jack stands on the trailer. I'd much rather use these 6x6s, to be honest. So there we go. I can take the wheel off. Okay, so I have the wheel off. I think the next thing I'll do is get, well, I suppose I can get these spacers off because I'm not gonna need these. I think the next thing is gonna be the brake. So I need a 17mm wrench. Next, I'll need to take off this dust shield. So that I know is a 12mm. And I actually had one bolt break on the bottom, so I only have 2 bolts holding this dust shield on. I shouldn't need this, so I'm gonna just set those there. Next, I'm gonna free up these lines. I just had them zip tied in there. So I'm gonna try and free those up a little bit. So next, I'm gonna disconnect the tie rod. So that is going to be a 19 actually. So to get these off, just give it a good easy peasy. I'm gonna thread these bolts back into place here, just kind of set them back into place so I don't lose them. The ABS sensor is a 10mm. Gonna get this guy out with a ratchet so that I don't break it or something. And this guy should just kind of pull out of here, like so. We'll get this out of our way. The only thing holding this knuckle in is the strut bolts and the ball joint on the bottom. So I'm going to turn the knuckle this way and get this pin out here. And this is going to be a 19mm. It might be different on a stock ball joint. I know I did put Moog replacements in here, so they might be slightly different compared to the OEM ball joint size. So I'm gonna set these bolts and this pin over here so that I don't lose them. Now I should be able to bang this out of here. Just like that. That is undone. So now I need to get these bolts undone. So I know those are 19. So now we have the knuckle off. I am gonna have to reuse these wheel bearings, these hubs, so I will be taking these out, but we'll just set this aside for now. So the next thing I'm gonna have to do is disconnect my sway bar. So I have a different type of sway bar. Mine is a relocated sway bar, so it's drilled into the lower control arm. Normally a stock sway bar is going to be connected to the strut right here. And then you just undo the nut here. Usually there's a little Allen you can undo. Mine's already undone here. There's a little Allen hole in there, and then you just use a 14 millimeter wrench on here, and that takes it right off. I won't be reusing these, so I'm going to leave these on this lower control arm. Next is going to be the rear bolt for the lower control arm. So that should be a 17 millimeter. So to get a little bit better access, I'm going to pop these pins out and take this cover off, just so I can get that bolt out a little easier. And the bolt up here is going to be a 19 millimeter. So there is another one in the front, but I already have that one removed from when my car was broken at the track. So now that that is all removed, you should be able to just pop this control arm out. So yeah, this is what happened to my arm, because these were custom fabricated arms. So yeah, as you can see, the bushing got pretty messed up. I tried to hammer it all back together at the track, but it didn't work so well. So another thing you have to install too is a spacer up here. So this spacer is a little different than the one that comes on the regular coilovers from Part Shop Max. This is a little bit taller so that when the strut walks back and forth, it has clearance, because the strut's gonna kind of do this as you turn. So you need to install that. It's super easy. Basically, you just undo this, take this nut off, you drop it down, and just replace that spacer. Very easy. I'm not gonna take that apart for the sake of the video. It is the next day. I forgot the key, so I couldn't move the rack back and forth to get the tie rods off. But now I have the key, so I'm able to do that. So all I'm going to do is to just stick the key in the ignition, and then I'm just gonna turn the wheel out this way so that the tie rod sticks out. So now you can see we have the tie rod sticking out here. Now I'm able to take an adjustable wrench and get that guy off. The OEM tie rods are gonna be super, super hard to get off. So basically, you just get it on here. These are Moog replacements, so these actually come with quite a bit of, or quite a few different ways you can put the wrench on. Got it loose, so now these just thread off. And then I have rack spacers on mine because that's part of my modded knuckles that I had on here. I'm going to be taking the scrape plate off. So this is just gonna be a bunch of 10 millimeters and 12 millimeters. So we got a 12 on each 4 corner, and then the front ones are all 12 millimeter, and then there's a couple of 10 millimeters. I'm also gonna be taking off the trans cover plate thing. So I'll be taking that off too. That's just a couple of 10 mils in the back, and then the 2 10 mils up here. So the scrape plates are off. Now we need to get the sway bar supports off. So that's going to be a 14 millimeter, and then it's 4 bolts. There is one right here, and then 2 in the back. So we'll get that off, drop the sway bar out. Alright, so now the sway bar supports are off. You can see all the dirt in here from when I went off track a couple times this year. Now we have everything off we need for the angle kit. Now we can kind of start putting everything back together. The first thing I'm going to do is just get the steering wheel centered again.